Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Today we're talking about the tropics in today's video. Today's main story is going to be really on Hurricane Idea in today's video. So I'm just letting you know that will be the main story of today's video. We will talk a little bit about Tropical Storm Nora and a little bit about the general tropics, but mainly it's going to be about Hurricane Idea that's heading toward the U.S. and it's expected to become a major hurricane. So let's get into the information and start today's video. Okay, we are looking at the 2-day graphical weather outlook here. You can see we have a few disturbances, one disturbance here, one disturbance down here. But our main story we're talking about in today's video is Hurricane Idea that just developed in the last 24 hours has strengthened into a tropical depression, tropical storm, and now a hurricane. 75-mile-per-hour winds, I believe, if I look here, 75-mile-per-hour winds, so it just became a hurricane. It might weaken as it's hitting Cuba. It could because it's going to be on land, and it looks like it kind of weakened as it was getting close to Cuba, and that would be good news. But hopefully it doesn't stay a hurricane because it's expected to become a major hurricane before it hits Louisiana. So we're going to have to watch that. Let's look at the 5-day graphical weather outlook here. We're going to get the idea in just a few minutes. We're going to real quick look at these storms here. 80% chance of development with this storm here. Not really going anywhere near the United States or anything, so that's why I'm not really going to talk about these that much. This one has a 60% chance of development. It's not really heading toward any areas right now, so we're not really going to talk much about that. And then now we have another disturbance, a 20% chance of development. It hasn't developed quite yet, but it's supposed to develop in the next 5 days. As you saw, it was on the 2-day graphical weather outlook. We'll be moving into this area soon, and we're going to have to watch it because it could head toward the U.S. if it goes in that direction. So let's start talking about Hurricane Idea. This is our main part of the video we're going to talk about here, and you see it's a hurricane now. It just became a hurricane just a little bit ago. I didn't know about it because I was in school, so I just got out of school filming this video. It became a hurricane as of 2 p.m. Friday. I don't know if it just became one or if it became one earlier. And then 8 a.m. Saturday, it's still expected to become be a hurricane. 8 p.m. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then major hurricane by 8 a.m. Sunday into 8 p.m. Sunday. It's supposed to become a major hurricane. That's a Cat 3 or higher. They put M on here for. That's a major hurricane toward Louisiana. According to this, on their cone right now, they say it's going to hit this part of Louisiana near where New Orleans and stuff like that. But if you remember, Laura's track went toward this area here, so we're going to have to watch if the cone even changes in any sort of way, like toward Mississippi was on the path where they think it's going to go, or it changes into Laura's path. So hopefully it's not Laura's path, because people might still be cleaning up after Laura. But hopefully it doesn't hit the same spot as Laura hit, because Laura was a bad storm here. But like I said, there's already hurricane watches in effect for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama already, and tropical storm watch for Alabama, and just getting close to Florida. Okay, let's look at the wind history of the storm. As you can see, it's been a tropical storm. Just recently got upgraded to a hurricane, so as you can see, there's no hurricane wind speeds here, so yeah. Let's look at the wind speed probabilities here, and we have a 90% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds in Louisiana. Especially this early, it's usually kind of rare. And something that's very interesting too, the whole state of Louisiana is in at least probably whole state is in at least 10% chance or higher of seeing tropical storm force winds the entire state. Mississippi about a 5% or more for the whole state for you guys too. So we're going to watch this as it's going to get close to near New Orleans. In New Orleans, you have about a 70 to 100% chance of seeing hurricane force winds. For parts of where Laura hit around, you have about probably a 50 to 80% chance of tropical storm force winds, according to what this says. So, hopefully it doesn't change toward Laura's path. Hopefully it doesn't even become a major hurricane at all. But uh, according to right now, what they say, they think it's going to become a major hurricane. As you can see here, we're looking at 50 knots winds, 58 mile per hour winds or more. It doesn't cover the whole state of Louisiana, so that's some good news. But you can see for some of this area, we have about a 10 or 30 to 100%, or not 100, but 70% chance of 58 mile per hour winds or 50 knots winds here. So 50 knots is actually, I'm looking at my other screen, it's a tropical storm. Um, 58 mile per hour winds is a tropical storm. So I have on my other screen the knots and everything of category 1, 2, 3, and all that, because we're going to be looking at models later on in the video and knots, so that's why I have that up here. And we also have a 100% chance, 90 to 100% chance in the Atlantic, not for parts of Louisiana, at least right now, but you can see that's in the Atlantic. And don't forget, as the storm approaches, usually the probabilities go up for your area. So already seeing a 90% chance of tropical storm force winds, that could become even more widespread by the time it gets toward Louisiana, because usually the percentages go up as it gets closer. So let's look at hurricane wind speed probabilities. Actually, there's no wind speed probabilities actually for Cuba, according to what this says, even though it's a hurricane right now. But you can see Louisiana has all the way up to um, a 40 to 50% chance of hurricane force wind speeds. As you can see, right near New Orleans, about New Orleans, probably somewhere near a 20 to 40% chance of seeing hurricane forced winds. And hurricane forced winds is 74 miles per hour or more, or 64 knots or more, uh, becoming a hurricane. So let's look at the U.S. wind rainfall potential, and this is kind of more significant here. Um, Sorry about that. The greens mean 1 to 2. There's widespread greens, of course. And then the darker greens are 2 to 4 inches, pretty widespread too, all the way up into Tennessee and everything. The yellows are 4 to 6 inches. See quite a big area for that too. Orange is 6 to 10 inches. This is a little more numerous for parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of Alabama, isolated spot in Mississippi there. And then the reds mean 10 to 15 inches of rainfall possible, and that includes parts of New Orleans, um, mainly for Louisiana and the southern part of the Mississippi. And then we even see isolated pockets here of some pinks, and that's just west, according to what this says, of New Orleans. 15 to 20 inches of rain possible for you guys' area. So that's pretty significant rain. Usually we only see like 15 or 10 to 15, but usually not 15 to 20. So we're gonna have to watch this the next few days near New Orleans right now. So let's look at the flash flood outlook by the Weather Prediction Center. They put out a moderate risk of flash flooding, so marginal, slight, and then they even have a moderate risk of flash flooding. And if we do have 15 to 20% or 15 to 20 inches of rainfall, sorry, we may see maybe a high risk in here if it does see 15 to 20 or 20 to whatever other amounts there are there on the color chart. As you saw, let's look at the peak storm surge. Um, this still could go up, so this still could go up in the next few days or go down. So kind of depends if it weakens or strengthens. But you see, we're gonna first start off near where Laura hit. So Laura, there's about where Laura hit in Louisiana. There's about a 2 to 4 feet of storm surge here. So that's mainly for parts of Sabine Pass to Shockwood-Feller Wildlife Fringe. 4 to 7 for parts of Rock, like what I said here, to Morgan City. Then we have 7 to 11 feet of storm surge and that goes all the way up into this area up here too. So it's all the way from Morgan City all the way to Ocean Springs. Um, 46 feet and 35 feet for Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I'm trying my best to pronounce these. And then we have 47 feet for Ocean Springs and for parts of MS or Mississippi and Alabama border. And then we have 33 to 5 feet for parts of all the way to Mississippi Alabama border to Alabama and Florida border, and then Mobile Bay, 3 to 5 feet of storm surge, according to what this says here. Okay, let's look at the loop of the storm. This looks like it has weakened the last little bit, according to what the IR loop looks like. Looks like it kind of weakened, but it was a really organized storm, it looked like at that time. Looks like it has definitely weakened because it's hit some land, but it's trying to, I think, strengthen again there, as you can see at the end of this. I think it's trying to strengthen again, so I wouldn't be surprised if it downgrade to a tropical storm, but once it gets back to the Gulf, it'll probably become a hurricane again, sadly to say. Let's look at where the location of the storm is, and it's on land right now, as you can see. Um, Here, not for the United States, this is near Cuba, so for people who don't know. Let's look at the strengthening path of the storm, and this is looking a lot more concerning than yesterday. Most of them are thinking only actually one shows it's going to get downgraded to a tropical storm. Just one model. The rest of the models are saying it's just going to continue to strengthen, as you can see. We see there's, like, most of the models are saying it's going to get up to a Category 2, and most of the models are also thinking Category 3 and potentially Category 4. According to what they say, and don't forget this is still a few days out, so it could still get upgraded or downgraded. But it thinks it's going to strengthen the most the next 24 to probably 48 hours, or actually 60 hours probably. The best time for it to strengthen the most, all the way to potentially Category 4. I don't think Category 5, but still, I'm not going to roll it out. So, yeah. Let's see the spaghetti malls here. And we see most of them thinking Louisiana. There is one actually thinking for parts of Mississippi and near Alabama. And then there are just a few maybe saying near Laura Spot or close. But most of them are thinking central, or not central, but eastern Louisiana down here near New Orleans. So you need to be preparing now for a potential major hurricane of Category 3 potentially. Let's look at the models real quick. Here we're gonna actually look at the name 3K here, because we can go as far out to that. We're gonna actually look in the last update though, the 12Z run, because the 18Z run hasn't updated the fullest quite yet. So you can see this storm is approaching by 12 a.m. The 29th, so that's in 2 days. So about tomorrow at midnight. So, and then this is going to get close to land. And then this thinks near Laura Spot. By the end of this mall run, it thinks about where Laura Spot it says here as of the 12Z update. It thinks it's going to hit near Laura Spot. If we can see the wind speeds, it thinks, oh my, that's a lot. Can't really zoom in much more, but it thinks about 80 to probably 125 knots. So let's see, what is that? That's anywhere from Category 3 to Category 4 here of landfall, and this says near Laura Spot, so that'd be just bad for those people there, because they just had a hurricane a year ago about, and seeing another hurricane about a year later, and maybe even the same strength or even stronger would be sad. Hopefully this weekends before it hits land to maybe a Category 1 or would be best if it just weakened totally, but usually that doesn't happen here. So we're gonna have to watch this very closely. Let's look at one other model, the FV3 model, if it does have a wind thing. Okay. And this thinks it's gonna hit Eastern Louisiana, according to what this says. According to what this says, Eastern Louisiana. But this one thinks 64 to 96 knots. So that's about a Category 1 and Category 2 hurricane. Still pretty big, Category 2, but at least it's not a Category 3 or 4, this model is saying, at least right now. So hopefully it stays that way with this model, but it'll probably change though. Okay, let's now look at some of the hurricane models that we look at here. And we're gonna look at data. So right before this makes landfall, this is actually the HWRF model, and it thinks that there's gonna be, let's see, 96 to probably 125 near. So that'd probably be about a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane. This is more toward New Orleans, so luckily it's not going to be near Hurricane Laura's area, but still it's going to be hitting near New Orleans, a pretty popular town there, so yeah. Let's look at the same model, but it just has a P at the end here. Um, this one thinks probably about the same strength here, about a Category 3 or 4 here. Let's look at the Hyman model. See what this says. This one's zoomed in, and this thinks about that's pretty high there. Probably 110 to 140, and that would just pass. If we got close to 140, that would pass a hurricane or Category 5 hurricane. Hopefully that's not the case. I don't think that'll be the case. At least right now, like I said though, that could change. And thinks it's gonna make landfall. Probably as a Category 4 though. It shows it'll weaken right before it hits land. So that's pretty interesting. But let's look at the next model, the GFS, a well-known model to look at. And we're gonna look at the 060 update of the GFS, see what it was thinking. And it thought it would become about 80 to 110, so that'd probably be about Category 1 or Category 2, but this was the 060 run, so stuff could have changed in the latest update. So we're going to look at one more model, the CMC model, as our final model to look at here. And as it gets close to land, thinks probably more near, probably still thinking Louisiana, but gets quite close to Mississippi there. And it thinks about wind speeds of 64 to 80, so that'd be about Category 1 hurricane. So this one thinks it'll be a little weaker of a storm, and hopefully that is the case. Hopefully it's a lot weaker than stronger, because that would be better news. Okay, let's now just talk very briefly about Tropical Storm Nora here. And you see it's a tropical storm as of 1 p.m. Friday. It's expected to become a hurricane by 7 p.m. Saturday. Our hurricane watches for parts of Mexico. Tropical storm warnings and watches also in effect. And this is a very interesting path to where this is going. This gets close here. It's going to hug in between Mexico and this place here. Sorry, guys, I don't know actually what this place is. I don't know if that's part of Mexico or where that is, or what that place is, but it's going to be in between these two areas where the storm goes through. Usually storms don't go through that area, but this is very interesting where the storm's trying to go. So let's just real quick look at the wind speeds here. Probably about for parts of these areas, probably anywhere from a 5 to probably a 60% chance of seeing any sort of tropical storm force winds. About a 5 to 30% chance of 58 mile per hour winds or 50 knots winds, and then hurricane force winds, 5 to probably 20% chance of seeing hurricane force winds. I forgot to put the arrival time on Hurricane Idea. I'll do it probably next video if I do have another video on it. So here's the arrival time if you guys need that, if you guys are in these areas. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Stay safe if you're in the path of Idea. Be preparing now instead of later. So you need to prepare now for a potential major hurricane, Category 3 potentially, or even stronger. You need to be preparing now. If you're in New Orleans, anywhere from Texas all the way to Florida. You need to just be prepared just in case. The area I'd be watching though the most would be the area I'm going to highlight here. This area here will have to be on the most highest alert for possible hurricane because it still can change in the cone. That area needs to be the highest on alert and be ready for a potential hurricane. Um, so I think anywhere from Texas to Florida, you should probably be getting ready just in case the cone does change in any way. So, but be prepared, especially if you're in Louisiana where the track is right now supposed to go. So be prepared. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video.